Contract, the first thing that you lose is romance and intimacy. When you were dating and couldn't stay away from each other, you didn't have a contract. I don't know if you've watched The Big Bang Theory ever, but Sheldon has a contract with everybody for everything. He has a dating contract with Amy that, like, is this long. If they get sick, here's how he will take care of her, and vice versa. You didn't have a contract when you were dating. When you were dating, you couldn't stay away from each other. It wasn't about that. It was about, I'm here for you, you're here for me. When you compromise, you settle for your dollars, my dollars. Your friends, my friends. Your time, my time. No more yelling, because we got it worked out. Still a big capital I marriage. And God never intended for you to experience it in marriage, because ultimately you're still really committed to you. That's what a compromised marriage is. Now, compromise can be a good step forward if your marriage is totally broken down, but it's simply another way of managing your expectations. Now, there's another way to approach this, and we'll spend the next couple of weeks talking about it, but before we do, I want to talk for the last bit of time I've got together with you about the expectation box. As long as I'm dumping my expectations on Lori, my desires on Lori, and as long as she feels she has to dump her desires on me, the intimacy, the romance, the stuff that makes marriage is great evaporates. Okay, because when your desires are transported into expectations, you transport your relationship from a covenant, an unconditional relationship, to a relationship that is a debt-debtor relationship. When you allow your desires to become expectations, you better do that because I expect you to do it, then all of a sudden you're in a debt-debtor relationship with your spouse. And another way of expressing that is, you owe me. You're the wife. You owe me. This is what you got to do. It's part of your job. You're the husband. You owe me. It's part of the job. You're the provider. You owe me. You promised. Remember when we stood at the altar? Your mom was in the front row when you said, I will, yada, yada, yada. Well, I'm holding you to it. You owe me. Oh, yeah? Well, you owe me too. Your dad was in the front row, and you sat in front of him and all your friends. And God, I promise forever, yada, yada, yada. You know what? I'm holding you to that promise. You owe me. And all of us can build a strong case for why our husbands really, and for our wives really owe us. As justified as you may feel, and you might even be in light of certain ways that we look at marriage, you still end up in a debt-debtor relationship with your spouse. Because anytime a relationship devolves into a debt-debtor relationship, intimacy, trust, and romance fly out the window. Because in a debt-debtor relationship, there is no room for an expression of and for receptivity to unconditional love. If your expectation is dinner and a movie, and you get dinner and a movie, how much credit does your spouse deserve? Not much. I mean, after all, that's what they were supposed to do. That's what she was supposed to do. Congratulations, you're up to 0 points now. I'm not celebrating you for that. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I brought in some money for dinner and a movie. You brought in some money for dinner and a movie. I knew you were going to take me to it because we set it up. You don't deserve extra credit for loving me. You're supposed to love me. It says that somewhere when we took our vows. Listen. Love is a gift. If everything is expected, there ceases to be an opportunity to give that gift or to receive that gift. Sometimes I can be a very moody husband. Yes, I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. Okay? Who is in need of forgiveness? And sometimes I wait a certain amount of time in which I'm pretty sure, like, I don't like to apologize right away because I might not be forgiven right away. You know what I mean? You know, say we have a really hot argument that it's like boom, 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 and then I go into the other room for like 2 minutes, and I come back out and I go, I'm sorry, and she's still in argument mode. So I wait like a prescribed amount of time, which I'm pretty sure that if I come out and say sorry, she'll forgive me, or that kind of thing. And sometimes Lori will surprise me, and she kisses me unexpectedly. After I've been an absolute jerk. Far before I've had a chance to apologize. She forgives me before I've had a chance to say I'm sorry. I love that, and I hate that. It's kind of like, I didn't say sorry before she forgave me. Try forgiving people before they say sorry. It'll transform your life and theirs. But the reason why I love it, and I'm challenged by it, is because it's unexpected. Because it wasn't expected, there was room for her to give me a gift, which she did. You will never, ever receive a personal, in-depth, perfume-laced letter with a gift card from your mortgage company. It's not expected, and you won't get it. Dear Mr. Bullock, once again, we just want to thank you for sending in your payment. For years now, we've followed you, Lori, and your wonderful kids, Ben and Allie, through life. We are so appreciative. Enclosed is a gift card for you and Lori. P.S. We didn't know what your kids wanted, but if you let us know next month, we'll send something extra special for them too. P.P.S. We hope you enjoyed our new perfume scent, Eau de Morgage. I may get a monthly bill from my mortgage company, but I don't get a thank you letter because that's not the deal. That's not the expectation. The only time you get a personalized letter from a mortgage company is when you miss a payment. And if you miss enough payments, you'll even get a phone call. If you don't do what they expect you to do and meet their expectations, you receive very personal attention. And that's how some of you feel in your marriages. As long as you do everything right, there is peace. But mess up, fail to meet expectations, you get very personalized negative attention. You wade into a marriage with dreams and desires. I dream of 3 kids, dog, time, big old house. You say I do. If you haven't figured it out, by the way, I am a big believer in desires and dreams, and not such a believer in expectations. For Pastor Ed, he promised. He vowed. In fact, I kind of said I do because he said I do. And he didn't. He hasn't. So you could argue all day long with me that your desires migrating to your expectations box is justified. But as long as you're living out of your expectations box, your marriage will exist from the point of you owe me. That's what the expectations box is about. And when 2 big eyes become locked in a battle of the you owe me, I want this, mine, I want this is bigger than your I want this. As long as this you owe me is there, romance, intimacy, community, connection, they won't be there. Because you don't have that kind of a relationship, because your relationship is a debt-debtor relationship. And for the record, I just want to say that last night, I saw some wonderful desires being expressed to each other rather than expectations. I saw people dancing with each other, not because they were forced to, but because they desired and wanted to. Okay? And this is with all seriousness. Brother Lino came up. and sang a romantic song, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. It was his desire to romance his wife. And many of the things you dream about, that you longed for, and you wished for, as you approached your marriage, they're God-given. Legitimate God-given desires. God designed us to want to be respected. God designed us to want to be cherished. God designed us to desire companionship. God designed us to want intimacy, to desire love, to be listened to. They're all God things. God designed us to desire these things. But the moment I take a God-given desire and place it on the shoulders of my wife, Lori, that God-given desire begins to feel like an expectation. And I begin to relate to Lori as if she owes me. I was doing a Bible study back in Hawaii with a small group. And we had a guy, a married couple in the small group, but the husband didn't come to church, and the husband didn't come to small group. And his wife came regularly to both. And we always prayed for her and her husband and their relationship. And as it was, one of the 2 times he came to small group, we were talking about marriage and relationships. And he spoke frequently and often during the Bible study. But the thing that really struck me the most was about expressing love to each other and the ways we do that. And his comment was, why should I say thank you when I come home and the dinner is on the table? You know what? I do my job, I work hard, I make the money. He's an Air Force pilot. When I come home, I've done my job. And now it's my turn to be taken care of. Expectation at its best. And when marriage becomes about what you owe me and I owe you, something happens to love. You can't express it. You can't recognize it because you're no longer loving unconditionally. You're no longer making her dreams come true. You're simply trying to meet his expectations that he set for you. And there are 2 simple things, ladies and gentlemen, that you can do to find out if your desires have become expectations. Your expressions of gratitude and your acts of service. We don't express gratitude for things that we expect. My daughter opened up a Valentine's Day card from her grandpa in Hawaii. Had $5 in it. Okay? Her response? Only $5? Where's the $25 Grandpa usually puts in here? So he mowed the lawn. What do you want me to give him? A medal? That's his job. Thank her for vacuuming? I work all day. I have a job. Of course she vacuums. Listen, the frequency or infrequency of your gratitude for the menial, day-to-day tasks of the things your spouse does will tell you a lot, mentally and emotionally, how things have transitioned from desires to expectations. Lori and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day. We don't. Why? Because it's expected. Right? I dropped off flowers to my wife's workplace several weeks ago. She didn't know that they were coming on that day. I left her workplace before she could come up to the front and receive them. She took those to the back. That day when she got home, she didn't even take off her coat or her shoes. She ran into the living room where I was watching TV, flew onto the couch, and I'm talking fly, right? And gave me a huge kiss and a hug and said, I love you. Thank you so much. I said, you're welcome. You know, and any further details we'll leave out of this sermon for a PG rating. Then, you know what, she took her jacket off, got her boots off, and we were about to start working on supper, and I asked her where the flowers were. And she said, I left them at work. I go, why'd you leave them at work? And she said, because all the other girls at work see those flowers. And they are trying to figure out what kind of a husband surprises his wife when Valentine's Day is only 3 weeks away with flowers like that. You must have, Lori, one of the craziest, best guys on the planet. And then she turns around and says, yeah, I do. Now, I don't tell you that story because I'm proud of myself or to lift me up. I tell you that story as an example of the unexpected versus the expected. Stay-at-home moms, if you can't remember the last time you looked at your husband in the eyes and said, I just want to thank you for providing me the opportunity to stay at home with the kids. It doesn't matter if he goes, aw, no need. You can't let that become the expectation because he's made that desire come true for you, even if it's been 25 years, because gratitude should not end because something has become consistent. Guys, your wives do a tremendous amount of work. Do you remember the last time you thanked them for the simplest of things? Because the simplest of things can be the most unexpected and